Mick, you don't even get it. I listened to I reckon 5 hours straight of Hawk Talk.
Getting some good feedback, Jolie, which is good.
My face ended up just sliding on the cricket pitch.
Hello, welcome back to Hawk Talk, the show where we take you through everything that's happening at the Batemans Bay Footy Club and get to know some of the characters and the people that make this club the great club it is. I'm your host, Joel Erickson. That is my other host. I don't know what side of the screen he is compared to me, but he's there somewhere. The bloke in the hat. It's Mick Kenny. Mick,
Hello, Jolie.
how are you?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Been a couple of weeks, but we're kind of back into it. We had a bit of a break, as we mentioned in our last one, but yeah, there's too many good people at the club, so we had to get moving on these again.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
And look, we can't really reveal the special guest because he's been on the screen the whole time. But the special guest today is a man who's been part of the club for donkey's years now, right, Sam?
Yeah, for a while now, mate. Yeah.
One of the most recognisable faces of the club. One of the best clubmen at the club as well. It's Sam Millynn. Sam, how are you? Thanks so much for being on the show with us tonight.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, excited to be on. Should be fun. Yeah.
So we've gotten Sam on because, as I said, like he's played footy with the Batemans Bay Seahawks for at least probably 15, 20 years, Sam, would it be? At this stage?
Including juniors longer than that, mate. Yeah.
There you go. A lot longer than that. But he's been involved with the club at AFL Sapphire Coast level, AFL Canberra community level, and now still part of the club when we've moved up to first grade as well. So there's not many guys here that have as good an insight to Sam. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit later. But hey, first of all, let's talk about the footy because it was another big weekend, first road trip in our step up to first grade. Probably not the success we'd like, Mick, but it's all part of the learning curve, really, isn't it, at this stage?
Yeah, it is, mate. I think the result's pretty good, to be fair, considering circumstances. Probably a bit of a rough week across the board in all grades, just with a few unavailable players through injury and whatnot. So obviously the day kicked off with the girls. They put up a fair fight and they were right in that game for a fair chunk. Probably, to be fair, one of the better games I've ever seen from a girl in women's footy in Sophie Alves. I think she had 26 touches and 4 goals. She turned it on and a really good performance without, arguably two of our better players in Zara Neal and Isla Judd, who are still playing Talent League at the moment, with still another 2 games left in that as well. So.
Yeah, glad you mentioned Sophie because she very comfortably made the team of the week for AFL Canberra this week. And you're right. I mean, she's pretty clearly the best player on that field in a Seahawks jersey most weekends. And she showed again that she is not out of place in first grade. And we already knew that. She went up to Canberra and played first grade last year. But in a season of transition, it's so important to have girls like that who have experience and love the club. She's been given a captaincy role this year. I know you don't have as much to do with the women's program as you do the men's, Mick, but it feels like to me she's going to almost another level with her footy this year.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think if you talk to Soph, obviously spoke to her after her representative game last weekend, and she was pretty. I don't know if filthy is the word, but she's pretty disappointed with with her performance in that game, and I think she probably had a bit of a point to prove, not only to herself but to a few other people as well. And she come out all guns blazing on the weekend, and kicked a couple of quick goals in the first quarter. I reckon definitely in the first half of that game she was the best player on the ground for sure.
Let's talk about the Rezzies as well. They also went down, but not a bad effort at all. I think it was only about 5 goals in the end, was it, Mick?
Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, we give 'em that in a head start too, Jolie. So I think it was 5 goals to 1 at quarter time. So a bit of a slow start from us boys in the Rezzies, but yeah, it's going to be one of those things where we're bringing through. Oh, we're obviously still got a few of us older heads around, and myself and Jamie McGann and Nath Darville, but we're bringing through a pretty good crop of kids at the moment as well that we're really excited about. So, um, yeah, it's going to be little patches like that. But I thought as the game went on, we obviously won the last quarter pretty convincingly as well. So as the game went on, I thought we definitely didn't look out of place, and we played pretty well.
First grade, I watched this. Well, I watched the first kind of 2.5 quarters of this game, and then I had something else on. But I think after was it Seb kicked the first goal of the second quarter, it was only a 6 point game. It was only 28-22 or something like that. So you really, and obviously the score got away from the boys in the end. I think it was about 75, 80 points. But I think that first quarter and a half showed that there's, I think and we've talked about this, but the issues really still are just fitness and probably a bit of structural stuff defensively, because you matched them for a good quarter and a half.
Yeah, I don't think it's fitness, Jolie. I think definitely defensive mindset. We had a pretty solid review last night after training, and yeah, Marto pinpointed, a fair few areas where yeah, I guess you can't sort of get stuck ball watching to a degree, or you really can't just lack concentration for 1 second at that level, especially against a team like Tuggeranong, who are, they're probably the number one, ball running handball team. So I think scoreline probably flattered, especially in that first quarter and a half. I think we were probably a fair bit off right from the outset, and the statistics show that statistically we were a lot worse than what we were in round one. So it probably does hurt. Dents the pride a little bit. I feel like it's probably a big step forward against Gungahlin, and then maybe 2 steps back on the weekend. But yeah, we spoke pretty openly about that on the podcast here a few weeks ago, Jolie, that we're going to have to ride those highs and lows as they come throughout the year, and we're bringing a really young football side through at the moment, and arguably the best player on the ground for us on the weekend was a 16-year-old kid. So
Yeah.
it's just something to be pretty excited about.
We mentioned James Collins on the last podcast and how impressive he was against Gungahlin. So, I mean, you've got him, you've got Alex Makey, who is obviously playing in a position that he doesn't have an awful lot of experience in himself. You got 16-year-old Jed Ware, who's playing forward and chopping in the ruck for his, what is Tully, like 19, 20-year-old brother, Tully.
Yeah.
And even some of your real gun players like Seba's, 21, 22, something like that. So you're right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of youth in this team. And I think I think you could tell in that first quarter that it was a little bit sloppy. It was, in patches, and I think it got away from both teams. But I think the silver lining that I saw was that defensively you held up for at least that first quarter, and you were taking advantage of your chances when you did get them going. And I think probably in the second quarter, as you said, it was just that the ball movement started killing you, and probably that makes it too hard for the defenders, especially against they kind of had twin towers down there. Those the commentator was saying their names, and then he was getting all of our players wrong all the time. At one point, I think every redhead on the ground was Steb Geary if he was wearing Seahawks jumper. He actually stole Munner's first goal from him.
He did,
for like a good quarter and a half, and then had to apologise and say, actually, that was Nathan Munnelly. And then Munners went back to being Geary for the rest of the game anyway. So that was a bit of an amusing watch. But you mentioned the review. What do you think? Where do you think you go from here? Because I mean, obviously, there's no expectations of results or trying to win this season, but I guess there's also a hard balance of not trying to, I guess, not destroying the confidence of the playing group. So where do you think you go from here as a coaching group with Marto and Bill?
Yeah, so I think the thing that Marto touched on last night was, I don't know if it's actually, we can sit there and say, they're not working hard enough on defense, but I don't know if it's actually a lack of effort. I just think it's understanding how to play defensively. I think that we've been very lucky for a long time that we've been very successful in the division that we've been in, and you can probably get away with it given the speed factor. If you are that little bit off, and you probably do get caught out on the hop a little bit defensively. Whereas at this level, speed literally does kill, and Tuggeranong are very, very good, especially on the outside. So, yeah, for us, I think it's just understanding that defensive aspect, learning that a bit better. And visually, last night, there was some things that were pretty ordinary for people to probably take and to view, but they're not personal attacks. They're just, tools that we can learn from, and that's where we're very lucky now, being at this level, that we do get all our stats, we do get all our video footage, and we're able to go back to the players and they can get a visual straight away, and hopefully, we can learn from it quicker than we I guess would if we were playing back in that other level, that they can get the visual, and yeah, we can straight away start learning and getting better.
Yeah, I'll ask you this question, Sam, because you obviously had experience playing when the club first went up to AFL Canberra Community Grade, and you probably had a couple of seasons like what this one is looking like it's going to be. From your perspective, what was the biggest learning curve in that kind of step up in quality for you at that stage?
Yeah, it was a tricky period, but like I sort of spoke to these guys about it a fair bit anyway. A lot of the young guys that have always bounced off me so far this year. You're gonna have waves of it. It's gonna be that way, but it took a little while for us to get that turning point. I guess it was just a bit of a fear factor and that belief bit. Whereas I think the culture within this group at the moment is so good. Even that's just me having that little close touch point with them at the moment. So I think that the success is really not going to be as far away as what you would sort of categorise back to our journey, I suppose. So it was a big jump for us back then, but we had to do that, just galvanise as a group. It was a different sort of set of circumstances, I suppose. But turning point for us really is as we went along. We had a few of them over the journey, didn't we, Mick? But we sort of but I only remember some of the losses, the really close losses, and the stuff we had, and some challenges we had, really just as much as winning the important games, right? Like we know we're getting close. We had those ones. Yes, we went up in 2015, Mick. I don't know if you remember, we went up to that ANU game. We're scratching it together, mate, and we sort of nearly got away with it. I think it was 2 points was the loss in the end. And geez, we celebrated that just as much as any other one. So it's just, but then from there we sort of leaping into a sketch with Mick's took over. We had a few ones where we sort of got close with those bigger names in the division like ADFA and ANU and those type of things. And it was just that fear bit. We had to sort of overcome that fear, and that was probably once we got to there and got that belief in, I think that's when it happened. So I think these guys, they're closer than they probably realise. And like Mick said, those tools and stuff that got available now, like we can look back at that and where we really went wrong. Like that's the nerds coming at me there going, wow, that's cool. So see what you did wrong, where we can improve. But I guess going back to what you guys were just talking about with the speed of it, watching the opening round against Tuggeranong, like their speed on transition is amazing. So like that's what Mick said, you can't stop for a minute there. Like community footy, you might get a lackluster disposal, which will give you an opportunity at a stoppage and you can reset and you can go about there. Whereas now, if you're not ready on that transition, that rebound, they'll catch you open.
I think the thing that stands out to me about that Tuggeranong team is they almost play a professional style of football, and I guess you're going to get that more often as you get higher. But like that run and carry in that handball game, some of the best AFL clubs play that style of footy. I mean, Richmond basically won 3 premierships on just get the ball forward as quickly as you can, no matter how you can. So is that also like a transition where, as Sam mentioned, obviously the skills are going to get better, but is it just that kind of, you're going to play clubs who are just, almost playing that really breakneck speed. We don't really care if we turn the ball over because we back ourselves in, kind of thing. Is that also a transition, do you think, for this playing group?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, mate. And for us, and everyone in the comp, like the draw's been very funny the way that it's been fixtured. So there's a lot of like teams that have played each other twice already. The draw really hasn't expanded too much, so we don't really know where Tuggeranong sit in the whole scheme of things either. Like they've been at the bottom, but and they've played us in 2 games and Gungahlin, so. Yeah, I think it'd be good, I guess, to see where they're at, and then for us, likewise, I guess we'll get a pretty good gauge this week when we play, the other team who's on top of the ladder in Ainsley, who everyone's tipping to probably go and win the comp. So I think for us, it's just really knuckling down now, understanding that probably a lot of these higher clubs are going to play that brand of footy. They're probably going to move it pretty quick. I think Belconnen are probably a little bit different. They're probably, they probably delve. Queen Anne, sorry, they're probably a little bit more inside. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I guess we won't really gauge that until we play everyone once and see where we're at from there. But what I've seen from Tuggeranong pretty early on, mate, I think they're going to be probably closer to the pointy end than what they have been in recent history.
Well, it was interesting because the commentator on the weekend said he touched on the fact that Tuggeranong were a team that traditionally did finish down the bottom of the ladder, but he said there's a really good group of young players who had now kind of played that 50 to 60 games together, and they've got some quality players like that Riley Budd again on the weekend. He was ridiculous, and I guess it's just as Sam mentioned, sometimes it's just getting more games in as a group and learning more about how you play together. And I guess I'm looking forward to seeing how the team goes against Ainsley, because obviously that's going to be a whole different test. But you're back at home. I'd imagine that you're going to hope that you might get one of those cracking windy days at Hanging Rock that maybe plays a bit of the as an equaliser, But do you think that's going to be a focus this year? Sorry, what was that?
A bit of a scrap, Jolly, you reckon, get it into a bit of a scrap.
Well, I mean, sometimes you need to drive into a scrap, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Those games where you try kick 30 metres that way and it ends up 10 metres that way.
Yeah.
But I did love the fact that you both had that knowing smile when I mentioned the windy days Hanging Rock. Do you think that's a focus for a group, is just making yourself as hard to play against, especially at home, make teams not want to come down the mountain and have to play you guys?
Yeah, and I think that was probably the disappointing thing from the weekend, Jolie, is that we traditionally, our football club, we pride ourselves on, being, a high pressure team, a hard physical team that, we want, I guess not teams to fear, but we want them to go, you know what you feel like when you play Bateman's Bay on a Saturday. It's a bit harder to get out of bed on a Sunday and Monday. So that's probably the disappointing takeaway from that, is probably just our defensive stuff, and that our tackle numbers weren't great and our defensive numbers were pretty ordinary. So that's probably been a bit of a slap in the face for a few boys, and I'm sure that you'll see a lot better defensive unit this weekend.
I have one more question for Sam before we get into the next part of the podcast. Sam, you mentioned that you would have loved to have, the footage and the trackers and everything back in your day. I guess my question is, would you have liked, because I think everyone at the club's heard the stories about your sharp elbows. Would you like seeing that kind of on replay in slow motion about 4 or 5 times? Whether it's saying, stop doing this, or how good is this?
Yeah. I guess it's how many angles I've got, I suppose, Jolie. So it's usually in pretty tight and tussled, mate, where I usually try and get it. But yeah, like Mick said, we want them to be sore and sorry Sunday, Monday, mate. So it's it's a brand, and it's how we go about it. Eh?
Was it the elbows and the knees, Sam, or were you just an elbow specialist?
No, just a bit of both when it was needed. If you're going to mark in front of me, we're going to know about it. Yeah.
Oh, just for the record, we're not implying that Sam was a dirty player. These are just the law that you get around the club. That's great. Let's get into the next part of the podcast. Mick's got a few questions first, and then we're going to really delve into Sam's history at the club, his experiences playing for the Seahawks, and we'll get to know a little bit more about Sam Millynn. Well, the floor is yours, Michael.
Righto, into the hard-hitting questions. Snails. Number 1 is one app on your phone that you could not live without.
Oh, look, probably it's going to be really basic, but it's probably a banking one because I eat it every day. Just about, but outside that would probably be the weather. I'm a bit of a weather nerd.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I've got to know what's happening with the weather. Probably the weather nerd.
Yeah.
What is your weather app, Sam?
Yeah.
I go between Willy Weather, mate, and the elders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got two, mate. I'm running two. Yeah.
Wow, two weather apps.
Yeah.
You are plugged in.
Yeah, extra storage.
You'd be a storm chaser if you lived in the Midwest of the States, wouldn't you?
Second one is your go-to coffee order.
I'm just a cappuccino, mate. No sugar.
I actually knew that. Number 3, pre-game routine or superstition.
Probably not as superstition as me mate that's asked me the questions, but haven't known you for a very long time. But no, but as you know, probably home games. I've sat in that same spot for however many years, just next to the bench there as you come into your right. So that's pretty much me for home games. Outside out away games, only away game superstition, I guess, with the Canberra comp was always to go in and get a chicken mayo lettuce sandwich at the bakery.
Yeah.
Make sure you have that. You've got to have that before 12. Otherwise, no good.
There's probably this next question, there's probably plenty to choose from, but I guess your favourite Seahawks moment so far, or Seahawks memory.
Oh, it's probably hard. I've probably been lucky enough to enjoy, I guess, over the longevity, a fair few bits of success, but it's sort of hard. I guess, as I was trying to ask you, I guess I've been lucky enough with 4 senior premierships, but they're all probably just as equal as each other, mate. Like, oddly enough, obviously, out of the 4, I've sort of the first one I've won, and then the second one I won with my brother, and the same thing with the later 2. So it's sort of, you sort of have that sort of one. So it's probably hard to pick, really, to be honest. But I've got to say that 2018, when we did walk up the stairs when we came home, when we came back from down the mountain, that was pretty cool. So everybody there was a massive crowd there cheering us in. So that was up there, mate, for sure.
Beautiful. And last one, if you had a time machine, what place or moment would you go back to?
Place and moment. Footy related or unrelated?
Nah, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Don't know. Actually, that's a really tricky one.
Yeah, I should have prepped you for these, shouldn't
Should
I?
have prepped me for these ones. Yeah, so that's free. Right, so I've had to go back to a footy moment. Do something about Carlton not breaking the salary cap so I don't have to suffer for so many years. If it's footy related, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I was hoping we get through the whole show without talking about Carlton and Essendon.
Yeah, no, fine. We can leave it now. It's good.
I think we all just barrack for terrible teams now. It's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Sam, look, we're going to start from the beginning of your football journey because you mentioned that you'd played juniors for the club, and you've been a part of this club for many years now. But what was it that got you into footy in the first place? And tell us about your experiences as a junior in Batemans Bay.
Yeah, so for mine, I was like every kid. I sort of started out in soccer, and then it was actually in primary school. So I was under 11s. I started with the Seahawks, and it was our mate Kempy K-Dog that Jamie Kemp that got me to come and have a bit of go at AFL. So came across, and then that's been me ever since. So lucky enough, started my journey there under 11s down the Sapphire. Then went into under 14s and 17s after that. Got a really good lot of good mates, even from those junior days. They're still around. Still us a lot of them. We went into senior footy together. So got a 14s premiership together, a 17s premiership, and then we sort of transitioned up into senior footy after that. So that's sort of where it started from there. So
you almost came up with a bit of almost like a golden generation for Batemans Bay football.
Yeah, there was a lot of talent through that sort of period. So within our footy club, the Tague, Rosevear, Paddy Moore, Kempy, Greeny, the Ward twins, Bradbury. There's plenty of guys that are come through that one. We had a really good core group of us guys. We're still really close now. So lucky enough to go through them, play a couple of premierships and stuff together as went in and out. So yeah.
Are you a Batemans Bay local? Like you're kind of born and raised here?
Yeah, I moved here when I was one. So yeah, basically raised here. Yeah. So I was been there, and the mum and dad were involved in the juniors. Yeah, so it was been sort of footy club's been us for a long time, yeah. In that sense, so that was us through the juniors, yeah.
Was rugby league ever an option for you, Sam, or was it it was always going to be Aussie rules if you got out of soccer?
No, well, oddly enough, both my cousins have both played NRL. So Ben and Matt Cross. So Ben played for Storm and a couple other teams, and Matt played for Titans and a couple others and that sort of thing. So Ben went and played New South Wales, but they're both 6'4" and 120 kilos, not many little fellas. So I was a totally different build to me, mate. So they're so played a couple of games of league at halfback in school, but yeah, other than that, Aussie rules was my thing, yeah.
So as you mentioned, you played with a really strong crop of juniors. Do you remember much about your senior debut? Can you tell us kind of when that was, and can you remember who you played against? I
don't remember who played against. So so probably with the junior, but so obviously we played into the 17s, but the 17s premiership came kind of early. So for my journey was when I turned 16, we didn't have any. There was obviously pre-Giants days and that sort of things, and no academy. So there was the in Canberra they had the under 16s Rams. It was sort of like a representative side for Canberra and the coast. So me and the two ward boys from down here, we played into that side, and we got to play into the Canberra 18s comp. So that was a really good experience. We had got dispositioned with a couple of players back from that competition. So that was a really good sort of exposure in a sense that we could have from down here in the coast. So, we allowed 4 17-year-olds, something we played into the 18s comp. So that was really good. And then a couple of guys we met through that. And then we sort of went in the next year and we played 18s when we're actually turning through the 17 age then with Tuggeranong in the under 18s. So that was really good. Got to have a pre-season senior game with them, which is, a bit of probably my exposure in that sense early on. And then, we played out that year, had a really fun year. So, we didn't sort of finish off well and that side of things, but really enjoyed the exposure and that type of thing. After that, then I had a bit of a conversation with Pedals, who was coaching at the time. And, and I was moving into obviously my HSC year here at home, and, the travel and my mum and dad had to do is try and support me up that way. So they had a bit of conversation about me coming back, and, I'll be well and truly in the mix for the first grade. So then I made my debut that next year. Who against? I couldn't recall, honestly, to tell you. So one of the mobs down south, but I was, but no, I went straight into first grade from there on, and sort of was in that mix ever since, really. Yeah.
So you played a number of years in AFL Sapphire Coast. You won 2 premierships. Tell us about that competition, because obviously, I had some experience covering it when I was living in Batemans Bay, because the Narooma team was still down in that comp. And actually, fun fact, I think they broke a long premiership drought the same year that you guys won your first AFL Canberra community. I think it was like a 34-year premiership drought that they broke or something like that. Because I remember back-to-back weeks, I had back pages of AFL premierships. But anyway, tell us about kind of that competition and what you learnt from those years playing in the AFL Sapphire.
Yeah, so AFL Sapphire, it was a really tough comp. If Mick could remember when his days there, it still was a pretty, if anything, it was just an honest football comp. You sort of had to turn up each week, and different to the days of now, you sort of, you had to earn your stripes from the ground up, both within your club and outside the club, I guess. It was tough. You always knew you were going up against, you go down in Pamberley, you're up against it, and then you've had, a bit of silk and that sort of things that would occur out of, from Tathra, and the diggers were always just a combative beast as well, and theirs and that type of thing. So it was, definitely, a really good grounding, I suppose. Yeah, lucky enough and got to play 100 games down there. But the odd thing is that we lost against Tathra for it was my 100th game, and it was our last grand final was lost, so it wasn't the best 100th, but it is what it is. But we got to enjoy a couple of years of success there back to back. So it was obviously my first one in 07. Was always going to cherish your first premiership, and then really enjoyed that with the boys for how many days, and then the 08 back to back was pretty special too, because then my brother I was 20 at the time, so then he was 16, so first year of senior, so I got to obviously enjoy a premiership with him at that ripe young age. Yeah, so it's good.
One thing I always enjoyed is my understanding is the ground at Tathra had some very unique dimensions. It was quite long and skinny. At least it looks long and skinny. Was that? I mean, and Tarth are a really good team for a long time. I know you mentioned that you lost your 100th to them, but would you say that Tarth was the biggest test in that comp when you were playing down there?
Yeah, they were. They're probably, well, Diggers had their times as well, but then Tarthra were just, I don't know, they always, it was a pretty feisty relationship between us and Tarthra, so it was just about doing whatever possible to beat the Bay, I guess, back then. But Tarthra itself, it's oddly enough, I was probably a different reputation. It's actually not that long of a ground. It's quite short. It's actually, you can run it pretty well out of the centre there. So it's probably Pambula. It's probably the longer ground down south. But Tarthra is quite short, but it can get windy, really weird winds across that ground. So quite short, easy to score on, and that type of thing. But at just the same time as windy, it can be a tough old ground because it can be just stoppage after stoppage.
There you go. I have been completely tricked by the optical illusion of the Tarthra home ground.
No, it's not. It's a bit weird. It must be because it's on the hill, Jolie, but no, it's actually quite short.
It's pretty small.
There you go.
Yeah.
Huh. Do you have memories of? Did you ever get to play against Mick in that comp?
Yeah, he did. Played against Mick after the 07-08, and he was part of the 09 Diggers premiership team, mate. So certainly did. So I was probably backline at that stage, and I was sure you were too, Mick, I think. So we probably just didn't even see each other in terms of that sense. So
yeah,
it was probably half back.
Myself and Marno have pretty fond memories of Greeny. He dusted us up a few times, but
yeah.
It was never much fun playing the Seahawks, and that's why we obviously go back to that reputation piece there before, Jolie, about waking up pretty sore on Sunday and Mondays.
Actually, funny you mentioned Greeny because if it's still the same intro, which I'm sure it is, Marto does. We do get a line in from Marto about his experiences of Greeny, getting his face scraped across the cricket pitch. So I'm glad you've also mentioned that, Mick. So Sam, tell us about that first transition, because obviously the club decided to move from that Sapphire comp up to the AFL Canberra, and that community grade. What was that transition like for you individually and also as the team?
So it was obviously a big step at the time. It was, I suppose it's a fair while ago now, but it was quite individually, like I was excited about it. Like it was going to be, I guess, the direction where it was going. And unfortunately, just whilst they're good clubs down there and great people and that sort of things, I think just the resources were low. And then obviously then people and kids that were trying to, better their journey were, not necessarily staying in the town and driving those sort of opportunities from a football perspective. So to go up there, I guess, was exciting, but scary at the same time. So it probably ties back to that bit we were talking about before in terms of what sort of changed for us along the journey. So we probably spent the first couple of years just getting to know it, mate. We're probably a bit, scared of our own shadow in a sense to be there. But Greeny and Kempy led it in the first year. We sort of moved into there, so they done well with what we had at hand and the cattle and that sort of things. We had some big losses, but at the same time, having been and had the success, I probably then it makes you grateful for that, I guess, along the journey. So you can't just be running on top all the time. So it was definitely something that I look back on I think it was an important part of my footy journey, I suppose, especially towards the back end of it where I got to enjoy some success again. So it was definitely felt that it made the back end of the career of mine much more fruitful, I suppose, or enjoyable. Yeah. So it was tricky, but yeah.
Must have been a strange feeling for you because you're 20 years old. You've just won your second of back-to-back premierships. At that stage, it's probably feeling like these things are easy. Like you just get to win a premiership all the time. It's great, and then you have 10 years before your next senior premiership with the Seahawks. Does that and I know you said earlier that you can't separate them, but do you think there is an element of that weight making those latter premierships a little bit sweeter? Like, is there any element of that for you?
Yeah, well, it probably could be, Jolly. Probably like I said, they'll value them all greatly, but it's, probably just like the 18 one, just because of the journey that was involved, I suppose, because we came into the competition, like I said, with then a couple of years there, then I took over in 2015. Obviously at that stage, the club was sort of had a bit of transition of players and we were basically back to one side. So You can remember these days as well. Like it was, we sort of really rallied together, but I still really feel like there was something special about that year that then drove us towards where we wanted to go and where that wanted to be, and sort of probably lit a fire in a lot of people's bellies that are been involved in the club. Mick himself, Sudsy, these, a lot of the really key people that have been around the club, and everybody sort of since. So it's sort of I guess, a real turning point there for it. So then we moved into. From there, when I took over, the year before I'd been appointed captain. So then when I took over, I continued that. And then Mick gave me the privilege of keeping that helm when he took over all the way through to the 2018 premiership. So to sort of be part of him and I and part of that key leadership group in that journey and buying into what we wanted to do, when we got that success, I'd probably have to put that upwards on really on the pedestal, I suppose, to know the work that we'd done and where we come from, and 3 years worth of work there that was just sort of, we knew where we were going, but it was just, we stepped ever so closer each time and then got there. So
we've told jokes about Greeny on this podcast about him, being rough and tumble and rough and Nardo up a bit, but he is a man you've played a lot of football with, Sam, and you've played a lot of football with as well, Mick. Because a lot of people we get on the podcast, if we ask them, who's the best player you've played with, they'll go Greeny. You guys all kind of are in that same age group, and you mentioned like guys like Bradbury and Kempy. What is that group of players? How important are they to you, not only in your football journey, but just in your personal life as well, Sam?
I sort of long guys, massive. So I played under 17s with Sean in that premiership. So he was older with that sort of that way. So then he was himself and all those guys. Like I said, we're still really, really close knit group. We've got our own partners club sort of all set up. We're really tight in that sort of sense. But so personally now, as we're sort of getting later on in life, it's we're sort of some guys that we can lean on with each other. Yeah, I guess guys who played a lot of footy, that rough and tumble, but guys who can back each other up now as you go through different parts and on your journey. I had a great weekend last weekend with Sean, so I'm way where we were. So you just sort of you got mateships outside of that as well. So like the brand and the reputation that we had there, but they're still deep down good people. And that's sort of what I try to transpire in my leadership is creating that group and that connection, that sort of guys. And when I spoke to the group earlier this year, that I was lucky enough, Marto invited me down. I was just, sticking together, sticking with them in the process, and it's their legacy and their journey now to be on, and they can take that over and they can create their own there. And I can see that amongst the boys already, but I've even got mates in that senior side now that, that I look at just as highly. So it's, footy's, that's what footy gives you, right? Part of being a community and a club, it gives you that, lifelong premierships, and Mick Kenny being one of my best mates too. So it's it's a really important part of what you're going about.
It was amazing to me as well. Obviously, I was privileged enough to come down and watch Huddle Round, and seeing you and there were a lot of the older guys there that still come down and still support the club as much as they can. And it's probably just do you think it's a sign of just how important this club is, both off field and on field for most people who go through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you talk to any of the guys who, my generation, and even the older guys before it, it's they're really excited about it. They're genuinely loving it. Like it's invested. We're talking about, like I said, with us boys in our chat, we're just checking how the boys are going and all that sort of thing. So it definitely is a really important part for everybody, and everybody's really excited about where it's going. So, and everybody's aware, like we've gone through in different journeys the club's been on for its 50 years, right? This is going to be have its challenges, like we've spoken about to the group, but there's going to be those rewards and those highlights along the way, and you grab hold of those and take them and move forward. So, yeah.
Mick, you were there when Sam delivered his speech before that first game, and I think it was amazing. You could just tell the respect that all those young guys had for Sam as a guy who had played a lot of football. You mentioned that Marto was the one who asked you, Sam, but was there anyone else that was even considered to kind of give that speech at that stage, Mick?
Yeah, there was a few. I know obviously picked my
This is
brain.
the part. This is the part where you go, oh no, it was only
Well,
out
there
of
was a
Sam.
few options, but
Yeah.
I probably led Marto into the direction of sales. And that's given obviously the respect that I have for him, but also the fact that what we're talking about at the moment, that he's been through all these ups and downs himself. He was there when we were getting beat by 200 points against ADFA, and then he was the one who held a premiership cup in 2018. So, a lot of those guys in that team, he's won premierships with as well. And then a few younger guys he's obviously had a pretty keen eye on, and knowing them coming through as well. So, I think he was probably the perfect person to come in there, mate. And like you say, all the boys were really engaged, and really thankful for him to come in and have a chat.
He landed it pretty well, didn't he, Sam? Started off a bit rocky, but we got there.
Got there.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a full room. I thought it was going to be a huddle with people. I didn't know it was public speaking tonight. Today.
Yeah,
but,
bit of
Got
a
all the
stitch up.
families there as well.
yeah, that's all good.
Jakey Sullivan's new dad.
Yeah.
The
What is it? The ferret.
ferret, that's it.
Yeah, me and Grinning, we're going to make him a cult hero, mate. He'll be right.
He's
Get him going.
he's playing some good footy too, don't worry.
Yeah, he's good. Jeez, he's crafty. Yep.
Sam, you're also one of the club's sponsors, or at least your business is. I wanted to pick your brain a little here because obviously, I think Mick has a little bit to do with finding sponsors. What kind of salesman is he? Is he driven? Is he a bit of a con man? Like what kind of vibe do you get from him when he's like, "Hey, Snails, how are you feeling about another sponsorship this year?"
Look, he doesn't have to do much pitching, mate. So it's like, obviously, I was lucky enough to take over the business a few years back from my old man, and we've been, sponsors for a long, long time with the footy club. So, he's not much of a sales pitch. He sort of had to do too much this year. I've I suppose I've tried to bump it up a little bit to help where we need it because I know we've got a little bit more of a journey to go on there that way. But no, but like, to be fair, he presents it really well. Everything you get, everything he does around it, does a great job, mate, like in terms of what you get, and you feel really supported and valued as a sponsor. So I can definitely back that up from a professional sense that, what the club gives you and what they do and how they promote you is absolute credit to Mick and everyone involved. I can certainly say that, yeah.
Does he get like?
If there's anyone out there who wants to sponsor the club, just get in touch.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to, yep, we can play.
What are the tiers, mate? Why don't you just go full in here? What are the tiers of sponsorship?
Yeah, all the different tiers. No, we can run over it. No, but I just think it's great. Well, that's where I speak from a business sense. I think that's where the value is in terms of firstly for my type of business that we I like to put money into the community. And I mix it up. Obviously, I do across a lot of different local communities, whether it be surf life saving, our neighbours next door at the Balls, of course, and all that sort of things. Like it's tennis, whatever it might be. I think it's just sport and the community, and what I can do is it's important. That's where the dollars should go. Yeah.
That is very true. And I really do think next year you need to make him get out the slideshow and the extended cane and get him on the.
You've got to bring him into the office, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, he needs to wear the full suit and tie and really convince you next year, Sam.
Yeah.
One more question for me. Obviously, you're very affectionately referred to as Snails. You get a bit of nail donk as well. Where does Snails come from? Where did that nickname kind of take off?
Yeah, it's not the greatest story. It's sort of born out of nowhere, but speaking of the group we had through the 17s, there's a good mate of mine for a long, long time, actually, Corey Cutmore. Him and I, he played footy, and I think it was 100 games, playing for the Seahawks, Corey too. Him and I worked at Woolworths together, mate. So we used to work there. We had to collect trolleys every night. Anyway, we affectionately called Corey grandpa in under 17s because we went down and took him 10 minutes to get back up like a grandpa. So it was anyway, one night I've come a gutser and fallen over, and he's beaten me in the trolley race to bring these back in. So there was a fellow that worked there. He's now actually a comedian, Dan Connell. So he worked there, and he's given. So that's my plug to fame, Dan, if he's listening. Yeah, so he's affectionately given me the nickname. He said, "I can't believe you lost to Grandpa Cotmore. I'm going to call you Sam Millynn," and it's just stuck ever since, Charlie.
So your footballing nickname comes from not being so efficient with the trolleys down at the.
No, yeah, I've gone. Yep, that's right, mate. Not so efficient with the trolleys. There's nothing to do with football or speed. I didn't think I was overly slow on the footy field. I am now, but
that's a fantastic story. You said it was boring. I love that story.
It's boring, but yeah.
Dan Cannell he's done some good stuff on. Have you been paying attention? That's one show I've definitely seen him on. So that is a good claim to fame. I want to ask you, Sam, as well. Let's put away like premierships and success here. Do you have a favorite Seahawks memory that just kind of is your favorite because it's notable or funny or just something that's happened in your Seahawks career where you go, yeah, that's going to stick in my head for the rest of my life, and I don't know why? Just give us a classic, I guess.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Seahawks memory that's going to stick forever. Like I said, probably one is, like I said, the weird ones that stick in your head in terms of like games and stuff is, for some reason, that one always sticks in my head, Mick. I feel like that was a bit of a turning point, that one at ANU where we just had to, I was nearly about to fall for that side for the first time ever. And then that was when we got that side together. But I don't know what time we got home in the morning, but we partied like it was a premiership that night. we still lost. It was like the weirdest thing. I still remember it. And we just, carried on. The other weirdest one was probably, which thank God they're not around anymore, is those goddamn cork spoon. The cork rules. You had to carry a cork for that year, or the year before or after, I can't remember. We had to carry the cork with us, with our number on it, everywhere. If you were in the supermarket, you didn't have it, it was a $10 fine. Doesn't matter where you went, you had to carry a cork with your number on it.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that.
Yeah. Dudley sends it to me every year. My mate Duds, yeah.
Final question. I promise this is the final question. I have heard, Sam, that you might have a running war with some of the peacocks that like hanging around Hanging Rock. I've heard some stories. Do you have an issue with those birds?
No. It's just, I guess it's a personal challenge that comes about every silly Sunday that I feel like I need to catch one of those. But it's turns out they're much faster than me on a Sunday, and they actually can fly.
Well, do you think if it wasn't a silly Sunday, would you give yourself a better chance?
Look, I'll probably be sensible enough, not too jolly, I'd hope. So.
Right. Do we need to downgrade the bird? Like, do we go from a peacock to a bin chicken?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something I can catch, or just a regular chicken even. That might be right.
There you go. Well, Mick, there you go. Chicken at Mad Monday, silly Sunday. And we'll get Sam just chasing it around the steam packet for the afternoon. It'd be great. Any final thoughts from you, Sam? Any bits of wisdom you want to share about, your journey, about Mick? We haven't really ribbed Mick as much as we probably should do in this episode.
No, he's fine. I don't feel like I need to rib him too much. He's a good mate of mine. I don't need to do that to him. No, it's I don't have too much. Like I said, I'm just excited about where it's headed. The boys are going to they're going to do well if they just stick together and stick to, like I told them, stick to tomatoes, stick to their process and that sort of things. Look, it's really exciting. I wish I was 5 years younger. You'd be involved in what it is, but you sort of get on the other side of it and you sort of look there like that. I'm pretty excited just to see how the club's going. And, I was thinking about trying to get a little bit of reserves in this year, but obviously the Masters game, Mick, as you know, I've sort of done a bit of a nasty on the ankle, which will probably see me out for a fair while now with some ligament damage. So, but outside of that, no, it's very exciting times for footy club and honestly very, very proud of it and the people who have been involved. And credit to everyone, Mick, and all like I heard him say previously, there's countless people been involved in this whole journey, not just all the accolades there. So it's good times.
Well, I think that's it from us. Unless you've got anything else you need to add, Mick, before we thank our.
It's all good. Good to have the big fella on. Obviously, really close mate of mine, so great to get his insights on obviously his career and where he sees the club moving forward. But we spent many a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday together, myself and Snails. So it's good to get him on the show.
Did you ever get sick of his mug, Sam?
Nah, not really. It's all right.
I'm actually
I'm
missing
trying-
him. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about seeing if we
I'm
can get
trying to-
together on Tuesdays and Thursdays somewhere.
Yeah. Just like we could come up with some idea, don't we? Yeah.
You're too kind, Sam.
What's Tuggeranong doing this year? Well, what are they doing? Yeah, we'll pick something out, mate. We'll sort them out.
And look, obviously, get along to the footy this weekend. Big weekend against Ainsley. Good chance to get back in front of the home crowd, and support this club because it's a big transition year, and they need as much support as they can get, and they deserve it. Let's be honest. So we'll finish on that note. Thank you again, Sam, for being so gracious and getting on a Wednesday night and having a yarn with us. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's good. Good fun.
Can you just sign us off as well by saying, Mick, please wear the hat next episode?
No, I'm not wearing that hat, mate.
Just go. The floor's yours, Sam. Mick, wear the hat next episode.
Mick, where to have then, mate?
Righto.
Just so we can keep them quiet.
Thanks, thanks, Sam.
Right.
Hey, thanks,
Thank you.
thanks for tuning in for another episode of Hawks Talk. Man, this episode is unraveled. We have gone full chaos mode in the last few minutes. Thank you, as always, to Mick. It's been a pleasure again, Mick.
Thank you, Jolie.
We will see you all again in a couple of weeks' time.
Cheers,
Cheers,
mate.
boys.
Thank you.